Hi, K-pop lovers. Welcome back to our channel. Hey ARMY, before we dive in, if you're new here, smash that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell so you never miss our BTS breakdowns. Drop a like on this video if you've already watched the Swim MV, and I want you to do one thing for me in the comments. Write down the exact moment in the Swim MV that hit you the hardest. Was it the first shot of the ship? Was it the ending? Was it something you can't even explain? I read every single comment, and your answer might actually become our next video. Alright, let's get into it. And trust me, you're going to want to stay until the very end, because there's one detail hidden in this video that even longtime ARMY members have been completely sleeping on. March 20th, 2026. 1 p.m. Korea Standard Time. BTS dropped the music video for Swim, and within the first hour alone, it exploded past 5 million views. By the end of 24 hours, it had crossed 36 million views, trending #1 on YouTube and X simultaneously across the globe. Now, I know what you're thinking. Of course it went viral. It's BTS. But here's what nobody is talking about. The numbers are just the surface. Underneath this video is a web of symbolism, a psychological journey, and a hidden connection to BTS's oldest lore that goes back over a decade. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So don't touch that back button. We're just getting started. Let's establish the foundation first. Swim is the lead single from BTS's fifth full-length studio album, Arirang, released on March 20th, 2026, under Big Hit Music. This is not just another comeback single. This is their first full group release in nearly 4 years, 4 years of military service, 4 years of living separate lives, 4 years of ARMY holding their breath. And when they finally came back, they didn't come back with a high-energy banger or a flashy EDM drop. They came back with a ship. In the middle of the ocean. And that choice, that specific, intentional, deliberate choice, is where everything begins. Now, why is the album called Arirang? Think about this for a second. Big Hit Music officially stated that Arirang reflects BTS's identity as a group rooted in Korea. But Arirang is not just a name, it is one of the most ancient Korean folk songs in existence, sung for centuries. It is a song about separation. About crossing a difficult hill. About longing for someone who has gone away. And now, after nearly 4 years apart, from each other, and from their fans, they chose that name. That is not a marketing decision. That is a statement of identity, grief, and reunion all at once. And it sets the emotional tone for everything you see in the Swim MV. Now let's talk about the video itself. And this is the part where I need you to pay very close attention, because this is where the exposed part actually begins. The MV stars American actress Lily Reinhart as the central character. It was filmed near Lisbon, Portugal. In the video, Reinhart plays a woman navigating a journey of internal struggle and eventual liberation, on a large ship in the middle of the open ocean. The 7 members of BTS, RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, and Jungkook, appear as crew members and silent guardians aboard that ship. Simple enough setup, right? Wrong. Because here's what most people missed completely. In the video, the BTS members take turns at the ship's steering wheel. And that is not just cinematic framing. In symbolism, a circular steering wheel represents the wheel of time, past, present, and future. By placing BTS at the helm, the directors are telling us something profound. BTS is not just accompanying this woman through space. They are guiding her through time. Through her painful past, her uncertain present, and her open future. They are not her saviors. They are her navigators. And that distinction matters enormously, because it reframes the entire relationship between BTS and ARMY in a single visual metaphor. But now, And this is the part that made ARMY go absolutely insane when they caught it. let's talk about the connection nobody expected. Several eagle-eyed fans noticed that the structural design of the ship in the Swim MV bears a striking resemblance to the scaffolding imagery that appeared in BTS's prologue video back in 2015, during the iconic HYYH era, or Wayangianwa, which translates to, the most beautiful moment in life. For those who don't know, the HYYH era was a complex, multi-chapter storytelling universe built around 7 young men connected across time and fate. And across every single chapter of that era, across Run, I Need You, Young Forever, Save Me, there was one recurring symbol. The sea. RM wrote in the song, Sea, from the Love Yourself, her album, the idea that what looks like a desert can transform into an ocean. And now, 11 years later, they are standing in that ocean. On a ship called SS Arirang. Is Swim the closing chapter of the HYYH universe? We cannot say for certain. But the visual language is too specific, too consistent, to be accidental. This was planned. Now let's talk about the detail that nobody in the mainstream coverage picked up on, and this one genuinely stopped me in my tracks when I caught it. Throughout the entire video, Lily Reinhardt's character wears a necklace. It's subtle. It's always there. And for most of the runtime, you barely notice it. But near the end of the video, she reaches up, alone, with no help from anyone, and she removes it. And then she smiles. That necklace is not a fashion choice. That necklace is the visual representation of burden. Of expectation. Of trauma. Of fear. It could be the weight of failure. It could be the pressure of perfection. It could be grief. And here is the most powerful thing about that moment, BTS does not remove it for her. They were there the whole time. They steered the ship. They faced the storm alongside her. But the act of letting go, that had to come from her. That is the message BTS is sending to every single ARMY watching, we will be with you, but your freedom is yours to claim. The lyrics of Swim reinforce this on every level. The song was written primarily by RM, and it dives deep into introspection, exploring the uncertainty and pressure of moving forward in an unpredictable world. But instead of framing that struggle as something to fight against, Swim reframes it entirely. The central metaphor is water. Not the ocean as danger. Not drowning as failure. But swimming, the act of continuing to move through resistance, at your own pace, without stopping. This is a more mature, quieter kind of strength than we've heard from BTS before. Not rebellion. Not defiance. Just endurance. And in a post-pandemic, post-military service world where millions of young people are quietly struggling to keep their heads above water, the timing of this message is not coincidental. Jimin himself addressed the meaning of the song directly in an interview, saying that Swim represents where they are right now, a snapshot of this exact moment, after everything they've been through. Not a reflection on the past. Not a promise about the future. Just an honest portrait of right now. And that raw, unfiltered emotional honesty is what separates BTS from virtually every other act in the music industry today. And the world responded. The Arirang album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 641,000 album equivalent units in its first week, the biggest opening week for any group since Billboard began tracking units in December 2014. It became BTS's 7th number 1 album in the United States. In South Korea, the album sold 4.2 million physical copies in its first week. In Germany, Swim debuted at number 1 on the singles chart, making BTS the first group in the history of that chart to achieve that milestone. And the BTS, the Comeback Live concert, streamed live on Netflix from Gwanghwamun Square in Seoul on March 21st, the very location of their first public performance nearly 4 years ago, was watched by 18.4 million viewers worldwide simultaneously. But here's what no chart can measure. One ARMY on social media wrote something after watching Swim that stayed with me. This song is a hug for every ARMY who struggled in the years they were gone, who fell, who broke, who had to put themselves back together, and made it to the other side. And I think that's it. That's the real truth behind swim. Not a conspiracy. Not a secret code. Not a hidden agenda. Just 7 men who went through one of the most difficult transitions of their lives, military service, separation, uncertainty, and came back to tell you, we saw the storm too. We kept swimming. And we're still here. Before I wrap up, I want to know your theory. Down in the comments right now, do you believe the HYYH connection in swim is intentional, or do you think it's just a coincidence? And what do you think the necklace represents in your own life? Because I genuinely believe BTS designed this video to mean something different to every single person who watches it. That's the mark of truly great art. If this breakdown gave you a new perspective on swim, share this video with a fellow ARMY, they deserve to see this too. The dark truth behind BTS swim is not dark at all. It's actually one of the most hopeful things I've ever seen a musical act produce. It is the truth that struggle is universal, that time moves forward whether we're ready or not, and that sometimes the most powerful thing in the world is having someone stand quietly beside you on a ship, not to steer your life, but to make sure you don't face the ocean alone. That's BTS. That's swim. That's why 36 million people watched this video in 24 hours. Not because of the hype, but because somewhere in that video, they saw themselves. Alright ARMY, if you made it this far, you are the real ones, and I love you for it. Purple heart, drop your reaction in the comments, I will personally reply to as many as I can. Give this video a like if it hit different for you. Share it with your ARMY group chat. Subscribe if you're new here, we do deep dives like this every week. And I will see you in the next one. Purple you. Always. Annyeong.